Hello, toy friends. Welcome back. I'm Will. This is the 1/8 team, and today we're bringing you our very special 118 day part two, the 2025 edition. And I'm joined today by my good friends, Mr. Beta Ray Bob
Hello.
and Gojitron, who are
Everybody.
certified experts in the subject matter of today's episode. And if anyone has any problems, go right to Goji's channel and type up all the complaints you want.
All right.
Because
Send all
today
your
we are
cards and
talking about,
letters to me.
yes, we're talking about a
It's
very
all engagement.
special, it's a very special 118 day where we are going to talk about the ones that started it all, and that is the Micronauts. And we're going to focus mostly on the US version, the Mego version that came out in the 70s, and possibly, later on we could expand into the other ones. But it is 118 day, and we are going to talk about it. Now, joining me, Beta Ray Bob. Here's his credentials. He is a certified
Hello.
expert. No, you can find him over on YouTube, but we'll put a link in the description. But Bob does most of his work on Instagram, I would say, right, Bob?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you
Most of
have
the
wonderful,
toy-related
yeah,
stuff is
yeah.
Instagram.
It's
YouTube's
more
more
short
traveling.
form, but it's really
Mhm.
your write-ups on Instagram are very informative. I always
Thank you.
appreciate learning about the toys you write up on there. But definitely follow Bob. He is also a lover of the Micronauts.
Oh, yeah.
And we have Gojitron, who pretty much everything I know about Micronauts and is comes from these two guys. So if I get anything wrong, blame them. Goji, your Micronauts failure to relaunch video, that was last year. Very informative. You kind of chronicled
Mm.
the original Mego versions and then several attempts to kind of reinvigorate that brand or bring it
Hmm.
back. And recently we just heard, and this is a coincidence, people, that Super 7 is issuing two O-Ring Plus figures based on the Micronauts line. We were already planning in this show, and this could be after those come out, I guess, an appendix to your video on failure to relaunch if this
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
go well, or it could be a success, a relaunch success story.
Right.
So, um, why am I pointing at these Final Faction videos that Goju did? Well, I'm going to say that Final Faction, and there are several times throughout this that I bring up modern day things that I feel share some of the creativity or the
Play
ingenuity that
pattern.
yeah that
Yeah.
and that would be specifically the weapons packs that connect to all the
Mm.
figures.
Hmm.
That's to me a very Micronauts kind of feel, and like
Hmm.
this weird Karn vehicle that you could assemble that they
Mm.
they put together these vehicle kits for $1.25 with an add-on pack of armor for an additional $1.25 that I thought were just brilliant and very much in that same vein. You have to build it. Some of the parts are interchangeable, but that Karn wheelie thing, I don't know what the hell it is
Hmm.
so out there. And some of the Karn aliens, the way that they are formed,
Yep.
also remind me of the way that aliens were done with the Micronauts universe. So I just want to
Hmm.
just put that out there and say that you did some great stuff. Also, your Adventure Force robot series, to me, also harkens back to that thing where some of the Micronauts toys were just big creatures that don't really need like a IP to go with them. They're just cool, and
Right.
that's what these
Mhm.
guys are. This
Hmm.
guy's a cybernetic T-Rex, and the other one is with a laser eye. You can't
Hmm.
go wrong, guys. And to me, that seems like it's in the same kind of vein. But we have a couple other videos that Goji did. So just if you want to know about Micronauts, go to Carl's channel, check out Gojitron, because there is a lot of great information on some of the recent additions. This 3D printed bug figure, the PD-01 Biotron figure, which is interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Gojitron.
Hmm.
That compares to the new 3 3/4 inch one, because this was a remake. Um, or third party remake, right?
Yeah, this is a third party. Basically, the original Biotron, the Robot Man figure, as they called it in Microman. Basically, that's just shrunk down. He's kind of on the shelf back here. Yeah, it's just him shrunk down. He can come apart and form a vehicle, and he does have a very tiny little Diaclone driver that fits in his chest. It's a cool toy. You know,
Yeah,
Super 7's
yeah,
not
that
doing
is
anything
cool.
that intricate, but you know, there are third
Mhm.
party makers out there that do that type of stuff if one would care to explore it.
Yeah, which is really, I think, just a fascinating play feature as well, where
Mhm.
you got a robot. One thing I would also say is, and then this one where you unbox this gift from James Salzberg, who is,
Mhm.
just a wonderful person. He has sent me things. I just love the guy. And he sent you his childhood
Yes.
Micronauts Mobile
Very,
Exploration
very
Labs,
special.
which you did a wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful video on, and just such a cool toy, which we'll talk about later. But
Yep.
once again, the real reason we're here is to talk about the Milton Bradley game, Micronauts, Caption Baron Karza, and Intruder to the Micronauts World. All of that other
I,
stuff means nothing. This is what it's all about, people. So I
Mhm.
know that everyone watching is going to right now just get really
And
into
we're
it. So
going
I
to
had to
play this
add
game
this.
live on the air right now.
oddly
So
enough,
that's
one of the years I went to Gen Con, which is like a board gaming convention, kind of like Joe Fest, but for board games, I almost picked this up.
not
Somebody
gonna
was selling like
lie.
used games.
Yeah, it's three-dimensional. It's got
Hmm.
steps on either side, and those cardboard cutouts are about 3 3/4 inch. So I was wondering if, like, maybe some people played them with their real figures, and
Oh, I totally would have.
it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like a bad game. I don't know what the rules are or how, you know, uh, how cool it was to actually play. But of all the games out there based on an IP, some of them were real. We played them when we were kids. You'd get the Smurfs board game or GI
Hmm.
Joe or Transformer, and they were always pretty bad. It was like the cereal where it all just tasted like the same crap, but just had the branding on it. So uh, I just saw this in my research, and just so you know, by research, people, I went on eBay, and I was basically shopping for Micronauts because last year during 118 Day, I said I was going to buy some, and specifically, I made my first Micronauts purchase
Great.
about 2 weeks ago, and I got this, and then I wanted a vehicle and a playset and some of the guys. The figures themselves are the expensive thing. They're really hard to find complete pricing that's kind of realistic. You know what I mean? Like some of the pricing is just way off. As a matter of fact, like this and this cost less than a complete set of like four of the time travelers. Like I actually
Mhm.
specifically wanted a blue time traveler, which I could find yellow ones. I could find red ones. I can find a blue time traveler like that was not very expensive or totally incomplete and messed up. Like,
Mhm.
and then I would have to source parts. Those two items cost just as much as a set of figures. So go figure, right?
Yep.
It's
Think because Micronauts
it's
came from
it's
an era where we weren't collecting yet; we were still playing with
Hmm.
them, and you know
yeah. There,
that
no
thin
one
plastic, if
speculated
it
on
doesn't
those.
hold up to vigorous play for very long, so it's tough to find something that's unbroken and complete from that era because we were playing with them. We weren't
Oh,
keeping them mint
I
on
would
card or anything.
also, yeah, I would also say that most of these were not made in the numbers that we saw in the 80s with some of our favorite brands where
Oh
G.I.
no.
Joe, they
Yeah.
made
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of each of those figures.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
doubt that they made, Mego in itself did not produce numbers that great ever. Even during the height of their popularity, I don't think they pumped them out quite as much.
Mhm.
So we're not going to see, numbers in that thing. But I may have missed some stuff because I'm a newbie. These guys are probably going to tell, some wonderful stories about owning some of these toys in their childhood. Uh, Unfortunately, I was, a poor orphan, and I was told you're not good enough for Micronauts, and they kicked me into the gutter. No, it's not what happened. But
Please, sir, may
I
I have
just, for some
another?
reason, Yeah, for some reason, it was just like maybe it's the age, maybe it's my age. I don't know. Um, GI Joe was really the toy that like started it all for me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I did tell them last year we talked about also the Mego Pocket Heroes. Uh,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this was my first action figure I think I ever played with, which was a Robin figure that I received probably around 19. It had to be 1980 because that's when I moved into the house that it was given to me at. And I remember it was during a summer birthday party. It was my brother's birthday party, and my grandmother brought me a wrapped present. So that was because I was the youngest, and I remember my brother was a little miffed because, hey, why does he get a present on my birthday? And I opened it, and it was Robin on the card. I opened it up, and in 3 seconds, took this cape and bent it and ripped it off of him like an idiot. But I had the figure for years after. I lost the cape, but Robin, and I never saw Batman. I always wanted Batman to go with him, obviously, right?
Mhm.
And I found out that they made all kinds of characters for these. Right,
Mhm.
I think there was at least 12, and they had the license for both Marvel and DC. So
Right.
Mhm.
you could have Spider-Man hanging out with Robin. It was, really, really cool line. But of all these years of toy collecting, last year, I said I should probably reacquire a Robin.
Mm.
Him being my first memory of an action figure and everything. So I was able to pick him up, pretty inexpensive, and I'm happy about that.
Nice.
But he's a little worse for wear. But I know there's some debate as to what the first true 118. I'm sure there's someone making a
Mm.
clothespin. Do you ever remember your grandparents making clothes? My grandfather used to
Oh yeah.
carve a wooden
Mhm.
clothespin and make a soldier. He
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
unarticulated, but it was probably something that was in a magazine or something. But you could just take a clothespin, carve them down, and paint them up. They were about 3 3/4, 4 inch. So you could probably make the argument that
Mhm.
1/18 scale clothespin soldiers were the first you know action figures back in the day, or anything like that. But um, what about you guys? What are your first memories with the Micronauts? Is this the first toy line that you were really into? Bob, I
For
guess
me,
if you want to go first.
yeah, for me, they came just a little after Adventure People. So there was like the
Okay,
Adventure People Christmas, and then next Christmas was like the Micronauts Christmas,
I'd
and
say they could
so
cross over too.
oh
They go
yeah,
along, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. My Micronauts were like superheroes in my little toy world that like protected the
Sure.
Adventure People or saved them when their buggy went off into a ditch or whatnot. Little things like
And
that.
what's interesting is both the Fisher Price and the Micronauts just relied on the toyetic, I guess,
Hmm.
properties of their toys. They didn't have, like you said, yours were just superheroes that saved the adventure people, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
created that play. They were just fun and they were cool, and we didn't have to have a cartoon, comic book, licensed movie,
right. Yeah.
soundtrack, all of that to drive the sales. Um, Interesting, very interesting. Carl, what were some of your first memories with the Micronauts?
Well, in my childhood, I started off with a few of the original GI Joe Adventure Team, the 12-inch
Sure.
guys, and then in
Mhm.
the mid '70s, I was really into the Mego World's Greatest Superheroes. So the 8-inch
Uh
dolls with
huh.
the cloth costumes, I had all of those. So that was my
Oh
first
wow.
big toy line that I was into. Then Micronauts came along, '76, and they were fascinating at the time because there was nothing else like
Yeah.
them in U.S. toy stores. They were so unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I got heavily into the Micronauts then, and then of course '77, '78, Star Wars came along. So the end of my childhood
Yeah.
there in the late '70s was all about the 1/18 scale between Micronauts and Star Wars, and I never mingled
And
them because of the
okay.
aesthetics were so different. The 5 POA and the O-ring
Mm-hmm.
construction were
Mm.
so different. But what I did was I got other 1/18th figures from other lines to supplement either Micronauts or Star Wars. So in the case of Micronauts, I had the Mego Buck Rogers figures, which were
Oh yeah.
Those were
O-ring
yes.
1/18 scale. So those could play with Micronauts. And then on the Star Wars side, I had the Mattel Flash Gordon figures that were 5
Mhm.
POA. and those guys
That
could
was
be
where I played
extras
as well.
and Moss Eisley
Yeah.
aliens in Star Wars. So that's how I kind of
Mhm.
separated the two worlds in my childhood.
I feel that, and I was going to say those Mego TV show kind of figures were more so the precursor to like the Chips figures and the
Right.
Buck Rogers.
Mhm.
I mean, GI Joe was like definitely like 100% taken from those. Like
Mhm.
they're
Oh,
almost like
yeah.
beat for beat. Micronauts are similar, but their limbs and their
Right.
features are a lot different.
But if I
But
remember
yeah,
correctly,
that's
when
really cool.
they made the pitch to Hasbro for the GI Joe Real American Hero line, they took some of those Mego Chips figures and kind of kit bashed them into military style characters,
Mhm.
and that
Yeah,
was the
I would
pitch for
imagine
Real
because they
American
had that
Hero.
like
So
that
mhm.
police uniform on. If you painted that green, it probably looked just like
Yeah.
a soldier or whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much where that came from. But yeah, those are really cool. And like I said, I don't know why I just missed them because well, I think the timing was right. You said they were hitting clearance around the 80s because even Star
Mhm.
Wars 3 3/4 inch, the Kenner Star Wars was not the main focus of my childhood. It really was, and that could have been driven by my parents as well. Because, like I said, my dad was a big 12-inch GI Joe guy. He loved them, and he never really understood me with my fascination with the little ones. Because he was always like, "I don't get it. We used to have these big, and like
Yeah.
he'd go, "Why do you prefer those?" And I was like, "Because I got a Jeep, Dad. Shut up," And
Right.
I just take it. But
They have an
so maybe
aircraft
that's why
carrier for
when
these guys.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And the space
So GI
shuttle.
Joe was always my jam. Yeah, like it was like above all, and that could just be because my parents were familiar with it and supported it. Where
Mhm.
what the hell's a Micronaut? What is this karaoke? Like they just don't know what I was talking about. I just don't remember them. I have two older brothers, and I was like, but one of my older brothers not into action figures or sci-fi kind of stuff at all. Very just sports related. It's all sports for him. So he probably wouldn't be into them. And then, my other brother, we knew of the comic. The comic from Marvel was probably the only real information I had about Micronauts or my only familiarity with it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I went through some of these things I actually bought. Some of them I wish I could buy because their prices go way up. And the video, and the board game was just a gag. But not really, because these guys look cool. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, like not gonna lie, it was kind of a gag. And a
Oh, I
lot of
love
these eBay
these.
listings.
Yeah.
So also just a lot of these pictures came from eBay. A lot of these listings were active when as of this morning or when I finished up pulling pictures. And a lot of them put these flyers in here. So what I was going to say, if you're not familiar with Micronauts, this was like for me in the late 80s, early 90s. I know there's another tangent I'm going off on, but I got really into like D&D books and I was reading like a lot of the stuff like from the Dragonlance or Forgotten Realms
Mm.
and Sword and Sorcery, this fantasy stuff. And I had never heard of Lord of the Rings. Go figure. I was a kid of the 80s and I remember one of my brother's friends coming by and going, what is this, like Lord of the Rings ripoff? And I was like, no, it's not. It's better. And upon reading Lord of the Rings and seeing the movies and then reading the books, you realized how much it influenced almost everything that came after it, right? Like, like so many of the things I was like, oh wait, it didn't ruin all those books for me, but it really did. I could directly draw a line back to where they were influenced to do that from.
Mhm.
The reason I tell that story is because as we go through this journey of some of the 70s released Mego Micronauts figures and play sets and vehicles, you're going to see things that were pulled right from this marketing wise, play features, uh, just concepts in general, like these flyers with these beautiful inserts. This
Oh
became a
yeah.
staple of the 80s. G.I. Joe did these,
Mhm.
Star Wars did these after. Um, and those were hanging on my wall. When I was a kid, I had the GI Joe one. The fold out was right there, pinned to my wall next to my
Yep.
bed. Uh, Look at this one from Micronauts.
Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful artwork, beautiful photography. They really did do a great job, and this really did just draw you into the world, right?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Look at some of these great great things here,
And these were
and
great around
I
Christmas time because when you wanted your Christmas list to be made, you just took one of these
Hmm.
circles and said, "Hey, Santa, I
yeah
want all of these."
Yep.
yeah, and then yeah,
Exactly.
good luck getting all of them, but yeah, you
Yeah.
circle everything, you know. Just here's your shopping list. Which one do you want? No, here's your shopping list.
Yeah. The whole
It's
thing.
all of them.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. Just get anything you can get from this. So this may not be a complete list, but it also might have most of the stuff, you know. And mine might not be complete. So guys, chime in if you see something
Mm.
that we
This, I
missed.
think,
For
is
the
the
most part,
first
I did.
year. This is like the first wave because the aliens aren't on this
Okay.
catalog and they came later
Hmm.
on. So
All
this,
right.
this was the
So
initial
if
offerings.
I mostly grabbed like all the figures first, then the vehicles, then the play sets, and I laid it out like kind of in that order. But
Hmm.
if there's something like really cool that we totally missed and you'd want to talk about it, I could quickly Google a picture or something. But for the figures, to me, when I think of Micronauts, this is what I always thought of was
Hmm.
these four multicolor. There's a yellow guy too, so maybe this isn't the best picture. I thought I got all of them right. There's yellow.
Yeah. Yellow, blue,
There,
orange, clear.
Yep.
I
yeah,
think was the.
but this is the time traveler, as I understand it, right? And
Yep.
Hmm.
he is the basic Micronaut figure.
Hmm.
This is what I
Hmm.
always thought of, and this is the one that has been kind of redone. And there's that blue one that I want so bad, but I can't get.
Yep.
I don't have an original blue one. I'll find one, but that was a whole set, and it was probably, like I said, as much as both of these things. So I was like, maybe at a later time.
Hmm.
I'll sell some stuff and I'll invest in them. I
And
did buy an inexpensive.
as I recall, the time traveler came packed in with a lot of the vehicles. So one
Yes.
Christmas, I got 4 of the vehicles, and I had 4 time
Oh
travelers
wow!
to go with them. So it was
Hmm.
like and then wound up being an army builder because you got so many packed in with other toys.
Yeah.
And that is like your basic trooper or basic guy. And I know
Mhm.
it wasn't until the '80s that the comic came out, right? So
79.
79. Okay,
Mhm.
so right there. So the toy line was out for several years
Yes.
before
Hmm.
you as children had any context to who these guys were. So they were really just whoever you wanted them to be, right?
Right.
The
Yeah.
packaging didn't inform you
Yeah.
how to play with them. You were just left to, to use your imagination, have some fun. And
Yeah. The only
that's something
thing that
that's
the.
not. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the only thing like the packaging encouraged was like the interchangeability of like the vehicle parts and some of the figure parts. That was like their whole push.
Yeah.
Everything else was up to your
So
imagination.
speaking to that, the hands, right? The hands at the wrist, the feet at the ankles came apart, and those chest pieces came off, and they
Hmm.
were fully interchangeable. That's why a lot of the ones that you shop for are missing the pieces. But that pop and swap technology that we like to do. Once again, here's an innovation from the very first toy that we see now showing up in other toys later on, right?
Hmm.
Years later, this type of play style or feature was something that was heavily, and you could put what different types of accessories on their hands or on their feet or
Like
neck to their
most of the
back.
feet had.
They had a back peg.
Yeah, they had like a plug on the back and then on the bottoms of their feet. That was like a 5 millimeter port that you could plug them into like other vehicles or have them stand like before like figure stands were a thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Some of those
and that
city
was
sets came.
yeah, another really fun
Mm.
concept that, and this comes from the Japanese company, Takara, right? Where
Mhm.
Mhm.
these weren't intended to be um, versions of humans that were just scaled down 18 times. They were aliens that were 4 inches tall, right? Roughly,
Yeah,
Right.
or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Like that was the scale they lived in. So they came from another dimension or a microverse,
Mhm.
and all of their stuff. And I found this out later about Transformers, that the Transformers even were just supposed to be robots in disguise. They were disguising themselves like Optimus Prime was a toy truck. He
Right.
was
Mhm.
disguising himself as a toy,
Mhm.
not as a real, where we saw in like the Michael Bay movies where they were real size. That was a US kind of concept. So I think that's really cool. These were just when you went to sleep, these guys went to work trying to a la Toy
Mhm.
Story, take over
Mhm.
your room. It was very fun. Very cool. And then these are just brilliant. I don't know if they belong right next to the figures. I don't even know the size of these things because I
So,
saw a photo on the side of a box later that said you could take off like the head of this and attach Baron Karza to it
Right, and make a
and make like a
centaur.
centaur.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing
So these
with
are much larger.
this is Andromeda and Oberon. They're the horses for Baron Karza and Force Commander. These actually did not come from the Takara Microman line. These were from a super robot anime called Steel Jeeg. And Takara
Ah,
also made the toys for that anime. So Mego saw these and said,
so
"Hey, we can incorporate these." Just like how Hasbro went outside the bounds of Diaclone and Microman in the early days of Transformers to expand the line.
Mhm.
It's
mhm,
kind of what Mego did with the Micronauts. So these don't
gotcha. They
actually
had these
interchange
existing
with
things.
much of the other toys. They just kind of interchange with themselves. But they became the de
Okay.
facto leaders of the factions because they were so much bigger. So
Mhm.
here's
Oh
Baron
wow. Yeah.
Karza, and here's your standard Micronaut. This is
Yeah.
Pharoid. So you can see the difference in size in these guys.
Sure.
So
Okay. They
yeah,
look cool. And
yeah, they are very cool. And
Mhm.
Karza and Force Commander, they are held together with magnets. So that's one other big difference between these and the other Micronaut toys. They're magnetic.
yeah, they're like ball magnet joints. So
Hmm.
they were
Mhm.
very posable and they worked, but magnets and children have become a not too cool thing to do because
Yeah,
if you swallow a
yeah,
magnet,
depending on the
it's like
magnet.
really, yeah,
So the
it's not
magnets
good.
didn't come out
But
at least. So,
There's a lot in the original
yeah,
Micronauts
so
line
cool.
that wouldn't pass muster for modern
yeah.
safety standards.
Yeah. And
Well,
I know these
pieces.
guys came out later, but the aliens are just
Oh yeah.
so amazing. And before you guys tell me, what you know about the aliens, they're so alien that they're almost like you're like, what the hell is that thing? Which is
Right.
what aliens should be. And I think it's like
Mhm.
so brilliant that they made these aliens so alien that they're like not even like recognizable as like
Hmm.
creatures that like, but that's how an alien should look to you. It should be
Right.
Mhm.
totally weird. And this guy over here, I guess I see in his picture, it looks like he has the face of a spider. And then
Hmm.
obviously the multiple limbs, that makes sense. And then this
Mhm.
guy has some kind of like, is that a tongue inside or a brain? I don't even know what the hell's
I
going
believe
on with
it's a
him, but I love
brain.
it.
Yeah, all the six aliens had glow in the dark brains, so that
Mhm.
was their
That's
overall
awesome.
gimmick. Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, look
I
at
have
this
him up
guy.
here also.
Yeah,
His face
Reptile
isn't
was
even
my
like
favorite
a
as a kid.
recognizable face. What is
Here's
it? Who
Ripto.
cares? But it's alien.
Yep.
Somehow he has some organ that detects people or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's cool as hell, man. That is like one of the. But then I look
There's-
at these alien designs and I see like Captain Power, like Sauron from Captain Power. He almost looks like a
Mhm.
robotic version of this guy. Or we go back to this guy. Now I know my favorite Strike Force Alpha figure is definitely based off of him, right? The
Right.
the
Oh,
construct guy.
construct. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
right. That's even his accessory, the little weapon that he came with, looks just like this one over here.
Yeah, I think it's a
The one
definite
up top
homage.
there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me it looks like
What?
construct looks like if like Repto and Antron there with the forearms had like
Yeah, it's
a
like a
love child.
mix. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you got a bit of
And the
lizard and a
gun
bit
that
of
attaches to the port on his arm,
mhm.
so cool, right?
Mhm.
Like in this one, the wings look like so many other winged creatures that have come past,
Yep.
after it. And like I said, that complete alien.
Oh, this one's
This
great.
guy's
Chronos.
my favorite, man. Oh
Mhm.
my God. I love it. I saw this and I was like, I need that. But you know how much this guy is? too much.
Oh, he's
Just kills
super
me. 'Cause
expensive.
very
Yeah.
expensive.
I remember he
Very
had very
expensive.
brittle parts on him because he's like a mantis and he has these long
Yeah,
appendages that sometimes break. So
Mm.
it's
so
very
So
tough
very
to
in
get.
the,
thin,
if I
right? It's
remember
like,
right,
yeah,
he was like the last wave of figures that came out, and
Hmm.
that there weren't
okay.
many made. So
Hmm.
yeah, he's
And they were
quite
all
pricey.
with the glow in the dark, I guess, right?
Hmm.
Brain
Yep.
features.
Hmm.
Oh
So
yeah,
glow
yeah.
in the dark, we're seeing aliens that are so bizarre that they're not even like fully recognizable as humanoid. You know what I mean? Like they're just so out there. That's so innovative to me.
Hmm.
Um, but with the glow in the dark play features, the interchangeability, all of it, just brilliant. And I could see its influence in many toy lines to come, and they did it first. The
Mhm.
Pharoids, which I don't get it, but I like it. There's so many things with Micronauts that I'm like, why'd they do that? I
Hmm.
like it, but I don't know why. I don't know it piques the curiosity. You're like,
Hmm.
why did they come with sarcophaguses that look like Egyptian stuff, and then inside it's just a Micronaut dude? I don't get it, but it works, right?
So
Hmm.
so this the Pharoid was based off like most all the line, like one of the Japanese lines. So there were like
Okay,
four different when they did the year of like the commanders or commandos, they had like four different body types, and one of them was the what we call the Pharoid. But each different body type had a little sarcophagus chamber that they came in. So one was from like Easter Island, Pharoid was from like Egypt,
okay.
Command 3 was from Japan, and then Command 4 was or
And
Lady
the
Command was
sarcophagus
from
was
the US.
themed differently.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
So each of them had like a themed sarcophagus that came with them. And so they probably just when they brought over Pharoid brought that over as
They
well.
were just like, yeah, just do that in 4 different colors or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I got you. So that's kind of cool. And that's another thing that we're going to see later on is kind of like that, the Panache Place Voltron came with like the sarcophaguses, the figures came right inside
Hmm.
them. Like, didn't they do something
Yeah, the
like that?
robeasts. Hmm.
Yeah.
This thing is the most
Centaurus.
amazing thing I've ever seen. And I
Hmm.
want this so bad. And I probably will never have it, but come on, man. Modulok, eat your heart out. Come on. This is amazing. Right?
You
It's a
can.
centaur, and
Hmm.
they did these in several colors,
Yep.
but they also look at that great the eBay seller did a great job on these. By the way,
Mhm.
all credit to these eBay sellers because they took these great pictures. And if you see anything you like here, or we've enabled you now, or enticed you to go buy them. They're all available right now. You can just go on eBay, search Micronauts, and you'll see these glow in the dark mane. Look at that,
Mhm.
and it looks like the arms too.
Hmm.
And so you can reconfigure him and make him like all the way to the far right. There's like a humanoid kind of looking one, right? And then all the way there you have. So was he like Modulok? Did you have him?
I didn't
Yeah.
have him as a kid. I
Only
could
the
put him.
hands came off. The
Yeah.
Oh,
weapons. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. With the aliens, all the
Only the
weapons came
weapons.
off their hands, and you could interchange all the weapons between them. And what's
Yeah.
cool
Got it.
about
And
all
Got
the
it. Got it.
aliens
Okay.
is the aliens didn't come from Japan. They were made specifically for Micronauts by Mego. I think
yeah.
Mego contracted out to a third party to design them, and then they manufactured them specifically for the American market.
Oh,
And
that's
their
really
cards
cool.
had all
So
that.
it's not, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not just them taking from the Japanese market and then
Mhm.
um, bastardizing it, so to speak, or or
Yeah.
just changing it up for their means. They did add to the line, so they
Mhm.
did take and innovate and add to it. So that's kind of cool. They deserve credit for that because these aliens are awesome. I
Mhm.
love them.
Oh yeah. And the card art for all the aliens had like Tim Kelly,
Oh,
like yeah,
Yeah.
like there you go,
speaking
like
of,
that.
because this is like one of the only examples of the card art. Look at that brain and the what
Hmm.
is that gun? It's like spitting magma or something. It's so cool. And the other one's like spitting out like poison fog or smoke. And
Mhm.
this figure, it's a blaster hydra laser hydra pack with hydra pipe. Okay,
Mhm.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
The
And that
slithery
pipe
skinned
broke
invader
very
from the
easily.
remote world of Visceros.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the aliens. They all gave them those little blurbs to tell you what planet they were from.
Yeah.
So you did have a little bit of a backstory to put with your imagination.
Look at that glow in the dark brains. This guy
Oh,
is. Look at that face. Oh, a face only a mother could love. Look at that. What a great creature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a awesome alien, man. And this could be Construct also. Like he's like a mix because the brains, I guess, Construct has the brains coming out of the back too.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know if they glow in the dark, but we'd have to check.
Don't think
These
so.
guys
But,
with the jetpacks. I think I have a better picture right here. Here we go.
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
A Croya.
A Croya.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I've always just called them a
Yeah.
courier, but a courier. Okay.
Yeah.
I always pronounce
Oh
it a
my goodness.
Croyer. Yeah, in the
Got it.
Microman line, these guys were
I
the villains. And when
Mm-hmm.
when Bill
oh
Mantlo wrote the comic for Marvel, he became one of the heroes. He was like one of the
okay.
main
And these
six
came in
original
multiple
Micronauts.
colors as well,
Hmm.
right? They were multicolored. There were
Yep.
several different
Yeah.
ones. I only saw a
Yep.
couple of these, and they had those cool jetpacks.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
And the
the
little
I
head,
feel
the
like
chest, and the
the
wing circles are all back metalized too, nice and shiny.
yeah.
yeah, I kind of feel like the Final Faction guys kind of took from this, like it's very similar, like the
Hmm.
ACRM, I think his name was. Oh, I
Mm.
did not mean to put that, but if I was gonna put a lot of the listings and just show you some of the prices, and then I decided I probably should just, because I don't want people to flame anyone for trying to sell something, and that's not the purpose of this. So,
Hmm.
even though I just pulled it back up on the screen, but I just wanted to highlight and show that there's a lot of really good examples of some of these toys, and some of them are really, anywhere from not complete at all and in poor condition to, very complete with the box and everything. And you could see here's a Biotron, um, and yeah, he looks pretty complete with some of the unused stickers and everything.
Hmm.
I don't have any pictures of his transformation. I thought I did. I messed up. So, but did you guys
Okay.
have Biotron as a kid? Because I think that's such a cool feature,
Yes.
I did not.
right? The
Yep.
figure goes in the chest piece right
Mm-hmm.
there, right? That's the canopy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
You can put a figure in there,
they
and
could
he's got
pilot
like a
it.
tank mode. He's got some treads that attach to his back, and you can turn him into a tank mode.
I think he was
That's so
motorized too,
cool.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
What's that?
Wasn't he motorized as
Oh,
well? Like once you put him on the treads, they like actually.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the
yeah.
Micronauts
And that
had
was a
motorized
big,
features.
Mhm.
yeah. Even the ship here has a motorized, like,
Yep.
it's one of those circular kind of
Yeah.
Mhm.
bump and go propulsion systems that were very popular in every race car toy or train toy or ship toy. It didn't matter. And then we have Baron Karza with the Magno powered action, right? Firing fists
Mhm.
and missiles. Do the missiles
Mhm.
and fist fire on yours, Gojitron, or was yours
Not
disabled?
very well, but yeah, they do. I have a Palisades version. I don't have an original. The
Oh,
original was
gotcha, gotcha.
those missiles flew quite far on the original.
Mhm.
Those 1970 springs were nothing to sneeze at.
That's great. And once again, we see an innovation in toy play that traveled on throughout the years. Voltron, one of his most famous, you know, play features was the exploding fist coming off, or Godzilla, of all creatures.
Yep.
His fist would fly off
Yeah, the
with a
Shogun Warriors, that was one of their main
yeah,
weapons was the fists flying off.
fist flying out was just
Mhm.
something that every toy or giant robot or creature had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just some better pictures there because and I guess we could talk about Super 7. um and like I said, this was a
Mhm.
coincidence. I had bought the two things and then I see the announcement and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I just started collecting these, and at first I was kind of mad because I'm like, shit, now like all the prices are going to go up because everyone's going to get the member berries. Oh, member, and then of course we're doing a show on it, so I guess it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. I just want to pick up a couple
Look,
things, and um I didn't want them to become, quite outrageously priced. But so Super 7 now they picked up that O-Ring Plus line, We've seen one wave of GI Joe figures come out. I think I even have one of my my Crimson
Right.
Twins here. Yeah, they came out pretty well. The O-rings are decent, and
Mhm.
they're on wave 2 now, which is causing quite a stir. Unfortunately, my Target store doesn't carry those, but the Fatal Fluffies
Hmm.
figures are apparently being scalped and put on eBay for quite a bit now. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
the Raymar and Fatal Fluffy figures, because
Yep.
they are like oversized O-ring figures, which
Mhm.
Hmm.
Hasbro didn't even do. So that's really cool that they're doing that. Um, those are apparently fetching quite a high price on the aftermarket. I haven't gotten any of them, but like I said, to me, as far as Super 7 goes, these are some of their best products. I gotta
Yeah.
hand it to them. I think their O-ring plus the reaction line is
Yeah, I
pretty
picked up
good.
the
Now they're doing Micronauts. So,
Mhm.
as someone who's not that familiar with them, I look at them and I just go, cool, Micronauts for, modern Micronauts. I
Mhm.
know that the pricing on vintage ones is pretty expensive. And as a collector like myself who likes to play and fiddle around with even these old toys, I don't want to buy it and then be afraid to break it because it costs so much. You know what I mean? I might
Oh yeah.
very much want a O-ring plus figure that is modern and I don't have to worry about so much. What are your feelings or thoughts on these new Super 7 offerings?
Well, I picked up the Bat and the Cover Girl, and they were good
Okay,
figures. They were solid. And another good thing about new O-ring figures is you don't have a 40 or 50-year-old O-ring waiting to break at any moment, you know.
sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've had some, and I know some people complain they use it as like a kind of a, like I've heard on some of like the newer O-ring lines, like Strike Force Alpha, Call Sign Longbow, and Delta 17. Some of the, I guess, dissenting comments in the comment sections when we do videos on them is like, I'm not paying $20 for something that's O-ring is going to break into. I have some 20-year-old, 25-year
mhm.
old GI Joe figures here that I bought in 2000, and their O-rings are fine.
Yeah.
I have some original ones, their O-rings are fine, but I also have some that are from that same era that they fell apart in the package. I take them
Hmm.
out of the package and they're loose already.
Mhm.
So, it's not that they all do that. It's just, I guess some do,
Right.
and they're not that hard to replace anyway.
Oh,
I
you just
rather
unscrew 'em.
like doing it. Yeah, it's not so bad. But if they could eliminate O-rings and put some kind of other long lasting thing in there, whether it's
Mhm.
like O-ring delete, or they make
Right.
figures with waist, or waist kind of articulation, right?
Mhm.
That,
Like a little ball and socket. Yeah.
yeah, like kind of a ball and socket type of thing. I'm fine with them replacing that, but I don't mind the O-ring either. Uh, Carl, what do you think about these new Super 7? Are you going to pick those up?
The Micronauts, yes, yeah, I'm
Okay,
okay with them both reviving the brand because
Mhm.
Hasbro teased it a couple of times, hasn't done anything with it. I doubt they will do anything with it because, as we've been seeing from Hasbro, they're moving sort of away from toy manufacturing and more into gaming. The way they're licensing all these properties out to different companies. So if Super 7
sure.
wants to take a shot, let him take a shot. And I like Brian Flynn's
Mhm.
reasoning for making those characters in that size because uh, a lot of us grew up with the main mythology for Micronauts being the comic. And like
That's right.
Transformers, they took great liberties translating the toys into the comic. So in the comic, Biotron was not a 12-inch tall figure compared to the smaller characters. They were all the same size. Biotron,
Mhm.
Space Glider, Baron Karza, they were all the same size in the comic. So now Super 7 is making a Biotron and a Karza that would be in scale with your original Mego Micronauts toys if you wanted to recreate that, sort of comic book cast. So,
Mhm.
Gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
fine
So
with the reasoning
that's pretty
behind
good
why that's
reason for,
being done.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm
while the
here.
pricing is not, listen, I wish everything was inexpensive. I wish toys were, very inexpensive, and I would
Mhm.
love to buy even more, but the reality of it is, yes, I would say in some cases, companies can be accused of, and they are guilty of, just corporate greed, right? And in
Hmm.
some cases, it's just the price point that the market dictates. So I'm not going to complain too much about them. I would just say, just like we say with everything, if they're for you, enjoy them.
Yeah.
Some of those Star Wars, the Vintage Collection, 3 3/4, 4 inch offerings over the last year, I've passed on based on price, but I've also met with people who are perfectly fine paying that price, and
Right.
that's just their personal choice.
And there's
I'm not
enough
going to say they're
people
wrong.
willing to pay that price that none of these toy companies have to drop their prices. If we
Yeah,
all said we're not buying it anymore, yeah, they'd have to change their marketing strategy. They'd have to change their pricing. They'd have to change their manufacturing. But obviously, there's enough collectors willing to pay that money that they can charge that much.
yeah. One thing I would say is I don't think Super 7 is going to go into the vehicle. I don't think that's their thing. I think they do
Oh,
the
probably
IP.
not. Yeah.
No.
They're gonna pump out some cast of characters. I think Brian Flynn also he did say he has kind of a commitment to, because I met him at Joe Fest and I asked him, with the O-Ring Plus reaction line, would he consider doing any vehicles? And he just said, well, if you could find like a cartoon or a comic vehicle that really wasn't offered in the past, he might
Hmm.
Mm.
consider it. But as of right now, he doesn't have anything. He did tell me that he had to plan the next 2 years to Hasbro before they agreed to give him the license. So he said,
Mm.
expect 2 years worth of figures.
Hmm.
So we've seen 2 waves come out since GoFest, and this is still year one. So,
Yeah.
can we expect up to 6 waves or maybe even 8 waves? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know what his release schedule is, but if it's 4 figures per wave and we could get them, we might see a pretty good amount, but I doubt they'll ever do anything like this.
No.
And,
Well, now probably not, but a play set like that, since it's like just modular pieces that you put together,
mhm,
I mean, could be viable in today's market because you just
you know
put
who
out a
I'm going to
pack of
say?
those
Yeah,
plates, and
I
then you
haven't
just
looked into
get
it.
more plates to add on.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this is ripe for the 3D printing world. The
Oh yeah,
3D
yeah, yeah.
printing community and designers. I know that the hotness right now is like G.I. Joe Classifieds took over. Like everyone talks about that. If you have a YouTube channel and you talk about G.I. Joe Classifieds, which if you love them, I'm all for it. I just never got into them. They're not my scale. It's not,
Mhm.
my style. But a lot of the 3D designers are focusing on making upscaled 1/12 versions of 3 3/4 inch vehicles and things like that. Pretty much that's the big trend. Like anyone who's doing 3D printing and making money at it is doing it for that reason. Where I think you've got such a great opportunity here, because
Oh
I
yeah.
fully intend on trying to design and print my own accessories and upgrades. Like, for example, my Robo Skull is incomplete, but I'm okay with that because I wanted to make my own pieces and, one, make content out of it, and two, rescue and otherwise. This piece, I have several missing pieces for this. I was going to try my hand at. It's fun to me, like my
Hmm.
MASH helicopter back there. It was missing pieces, and I 3D printed and made those. I don't know if there's much of a 3D printing community for Micronauts, and if you're watching this, leave me a comment.
Please,
Put some links there
yeah,
for me
yes,
because
please let us all
I'm
know.
interested in that. Yeah, I know Gojitron had that experience with, and I
Yep.
think that's the same guy that contacted me when I was doing my deep dive on, uh, geez, robotics last year.
Hmm.
When I was
Mm.
really deep
Mhm.
diving
Yeah.
there, he 3D designs and sells some Micronauts figures. So I think
Yep.
you got the
Mhm.
bug
Yeah. I
figure,
bought that bug
and
from
like you said,
his store on Shapeways, but Shapeways is gone now in its previous
okay,
Mm.
form. But he does sell on eBay, I believe. And
yeah,
he's
I
done
think
other
that was
Micronauts characters
Retro.
too. He did like a scale Microtron, which is another one of the robots from the Micronauts line that was
Okay.
oversized in toy form, but quote unquote normal sized in the comic.
Yeah.
So there are
I
3D
believe he's
printers out
on
there doing
YouTube
that.
is Retro Robot
Retro
Radio.
Robot Radio.
Yeah, he
Now, there's
contacted.
also
He does them on eBay as
uh,
well, I think. So you can still find them.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's doing some good stuff. But he just focused on the things. So I'm just saying, like the little connector pieces would be great
mhm,
to do if someone lost those. Like my set here might be missing some key pieces. I really gotta tell you, I didn't really look through the eBay listing because it was a good price. So I kind of just bought it. I was like, oh, there's enough pieces there to have some fun. So let me just. It was more than 50% in my mind, so I just bought it. There could be some key components missing, and I unfortunately haven't had a chance to look through them. But I think that's the the only way we're going to see. But I would also just adopting that 5 millimeter port. It's a
mhm.
common port. It's kind of like I never really got into those Glyos figures. They all agreed to use that Glyos joint, and all the figures are
Mhm.
interchangeable. That was probably inspired by the Micronauts. I
Oh,
have
I'm
to
sure.
believe that because I think there was also a this guy, the Force Commander, who is like a repaint, right? They love their recolors, which
Right.
is a trend that a
Yep.
lot of companies do. Um, I'm just saying we see those multicolored like figures, and I know they have different sculpts now and stuff, but it wasn't like Power Rangers. They were all kind of looked the same, but they
Right.
were a different color when they first
Right.
started.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now but recoloring and
hmm
retooling and just
That's a
reusing the
that's a
same
famous
thing.
old Transformer gimmick. Just repaint it, put a new head
Yeah,
on it. You've got a new character.
Mhm. Well, I mean, He-Man, G.I. Joe, they
yeah.
did it too.
And I
So,
even saw this one where I don't know. This one
oh,
said
yeah.
Micronaughty, so I guess that's Italian or something. Green Baron,
Yeah.
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 which
That
is
was, yeah, part of the
like a
Italian
European
release.
version, right?
Hmm.
Gig,
hmm
Gig is the name of the company. I don't know, but this is Wheeljack's Lab, by the way, on eBay. I've actually bought other stuff from this seller. He's a big seller of toys,
I have
and
also, yeah.
I've always had a good experience.
Hmm.
Yeah, this one.
Oh, this was a fun one. Yeah.
Mm. This is the toy I bought on clearance back around 1980, and I was telling you before we started the stream that because of the new safety laws, they had to remove the springs from the missile launchers and glued the missiles in
Yeah,
place.
Oh, that's a shame. Like, I
Mm,
got him when he came out, and
did
those
you?
missiles were like you said,
mm,
the 70 springs, and
mm.
they shot
Yeah,
like almost clear across the room, and
dude.
Yep.
That's crazy. 5 toys in one. That sounds like a lot like
Yeah.
Voltron.
Yeah.
Or
This is
oh
sort of
yeah, like
no?
sort of a precursor to like the Transformer combiners because those two
mhm.
figures that are on the right there form the arms of the
Uh
larger
huh.
robot. So he's sort of an
Uh
early
huh.
type of gestalt.
Yeah, I'm going back and looking, and yeah, and it's like
Or you could put them in like a
it's not
vehicle
exactly the
mode.
same.
Hmm
Yeah, like I was telling you guys before the stream started. I remember there being a place in town, like a hobby store, and they had a lot of import stuff, and they had robots of all shapes and sizes. But
Hmm.
the one I got, which was I think one of the least expensive ones, but tons of firing missiles. I loved it. Um, it was like three vehicles that turned in three vehicles that turned into one robot. And it was
Oh,
like my
cool.
holdover until I got Voltron. Um, and the funny thing about Voltron, I actually got the car version from Matchbox.
hmm
But
Mhm.
my trip to the store that day was to get the USS Flag. I had saved money and had enough money for the flag when I
Mm.
was 12 years old. I worked and did some stuff. And when we got to the store and my dad saw that it was 7 feet long, just laughed because they went, Where are you going to fit this freaking thing? Are you kidding me? And I was like,
Mhm.
dead serious. I was like, oh, no, I'll make it work. I don't need a bed. I could just throw my
Yeah.
bed in the garbage and I could have this. Come on, Dad, we can make this work. And he's like, absolutely not. This is bullshit. You're not, like your toys already take up, way too much space, Will. Everyone's always tripping over them. You're out of your mind. And I was like, no, devastated. And then, he was my consolation prize. Was you could get Voltron, and and I'll buy it for you. And I got to keep my money, which I wasted on other stuff. But um, yeah, vehicle Voltron, awesome. But yeah,
Mhm.
pretty wild though. Um, these sets, were they very expensive? Was this guy the giant? Is that what's his name? Acroyear? Acroyear is how I see it.
I
Acroyear.
pronounce it a Croyer.
Acroyo.
Mm.
Acroyear.
A Croyer. Yeah.
I guess Acroyear. Yeah. I always see Acroyear, and I guess
We didn't have any
but-
cartoons for these things, so I've
Yeah,
never
you
really
just
heard a
gotta-
lot of these names actually pronounced by anyone.
But is this thing? This thing was giant. How big was this? Is this like 12 inches tall? Or
Yeah,
is
he
this
was
like
about
that
12
height,
inches.
Close to
or-
that, 10, 12.
Okay.
It's like the arms are like a standard. We're like about the size of a
Figure-
standard
they're like
Micronaut
4
figure. Yeah.
Okay. So
Which
yeah.
I always
Was this guy-
preferred him in like
Did he
robot
stay
mode.
together well? You know, a lot of combiners did not stay
Mhm.
together well. You couldn't really play with them. You could put them together, which was fun, but you try to pick up Voltron and one of his legs would always fall off, or you go to
Now-
pose him and swing and his arm flies off.
Now on mine,
that's-
he got so much play though that the legs, where they attach on those little, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see
Mhm.
what I'm talking about. But anyway, that little piece on his hips had like 2 pegs on it. So like, the up one peg plugged into the body and then one peg plugged into the leg. Mine, like I said,
Oh.
got so much play that those like leg pegs got pretty loose. But
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Gotcha.
just wear. That wasn't like the fault of the toy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the vehicle modes was it says 5 different toys in one. So you had the 2 figures and then 2 vehicles, right?
Mhm.
I don't think I have
Uh,
closer pictures of those, but those are pretty basic. Or one was like a jet, the other one looked like kind of like a car or something. Like a rocket
Yeah,
sled.
there was like a couple of different ways you could assemble it.
Mhm.
Some
I
of
just
these
used
I just put the I'm sorry, I apologize.
yeah.
I think the packaging art, I found it later. So as I was going
Mhm.
through, I
Oh,
meant
no
to
problem.
slide it down when it first appeared in there. And some of these aren't even cropped. I feel bad.
But I mean, this does show
But
like
yeah, this
you
one
can-
I think illustrates Baron Karza is the
Mhm.
evil centaur on the
Mhm.
bottom. So I
and
grabbed
that you can
'cause
like
it
put
looked
the
cool.
wheels on instead of the legs, so
Mhm.
they like
Yeah,
zip around a
yeah,
little
which
more.
is pretty wild. Yeah, I like it. It's just, and then this one, which I know is not a U.S. release. It was this gig toy, but did this come out in the U.S.? Because what the
That
I
I'm
never
aware
saw
of.
this.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I didn't
It
find this till like
looks
the internet
absolutely
became a thing.
insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just saw it and went, "What the?"
I think
Oh, yeah,
Europe
Just
Europe
like-
might have gotten some later releases after the line sort of
Mhm.
petered
Okay.
off in the U.S.
Yeah, I know there was
Okay, so
some
you don't-
companies that bought up the molds.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
Yep.
there was like the interchangeables line, this
Interchangeables, yep.
yeah, because that looks
And
like
stuff.
the Andromeda body,
Yeah,
right?
just
With
with
this
a different
weird,
head.
very
Yeah.
Mhm.
weird head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the toy that I wanted to ask you guys about with the magnets, because this uses like that same ball magnet thing.
Mhm.
I think I had this toy. It was like a knockoff I got at like a flea market. But it
Oh,
was this
cool.
bird toy. And that's nothing. That's something else. That's completely weird. But yeah, anyway, do you guys have this? Is this part of the Microman line, or was this it just showed up in the eBay things? And when
I've never
saw
seen
it,
this
I was
before.
like, I had that toy.
I'm
Okay.
Pretty sure this is the part of the Microman line. Like I know they did some like smaller magnet figures that they called the Titans. And I think this
Okay.
tied into it.
But
So
this-
like you could swap parts around
Yeah.
with the magnets instead of the 5mm ports.
I kind of remember this this toy, and like the packaging doesn't. It's the wings and the way they attached. Like I remember
Mhm.
having it, and it was definitely like one of those. I was at a flea market, and I never saw it again. This is also a figure or a vehicle or playset or whatever. Ampzilla was
Mhm.
on the side of the package of one of the other boxes, and it's out of place right here because this is the bird still.
Mhm.
And then we're gonna go into vehicles, but that Ampzilla, you guys know? Tried to look it up. It doesn't exist in or there's no eBay listings for it. No one has this.
Yeah,
a
it's
real-
another one of those like super rare ones, kind of like Kronos, the mantis guy. It came out late in the
Yeah, okay.
line. Is that,
Yeah,
or at
and he
least
had like
from what I've
a
seen online.
canopy on the back. I saw, I think, on another photo.
Mhm.
Anyway, looks cool as shit. He's like a
Oh
T-Rex
yeah.
with pink
Yeah.
tread feet and a big laser cannon on his head. I love him, but
Mhm.
he's not. I'd love something like that, and I do have something like that. I'll show you the picture later. You guys have seen it a million times because it's like one of my favorite knockoff toys. But it's a giant robotic T-Rex. So vehicles. Love the person who was selling this because they had a set of 4, and you get to
Oh,
see like all of
nice.
them. Yeah, this is all from one eBay listing, and the price is pretty good on this. If I'm not wrong, for all 4 of these plus all 4 vehicles was like buy it now $80 or something. Not bad.
That's not
Mm.
bad.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we got the trike, and these were all
Oh, this
motorized,
was one of
which
my
I didn't realize at first.
Mhm.
Right? They all had
yeah.
like pullback motors
Mhm.
or
Yep.
Well,
electric
they were
motors.
like wind up motors,
Okay.
because like this one, the ultrasonic scooter was like my favorite, and I went through probably like 3 or 4 of those motors on it, just wearing it out.
Can I
I
ask
was
you,
like
like,
stealing them
were these
off
like
other
10
vehicles,
bucks?
and
Yeah, or were they like $5? What were these like the retail on
I
this?
don't remember. This was
They weren't
before I
very
was like
expensive.
buying my own. Yeah.
I know
They
I got
were
all 4 of
affordable.
those one Christmas. I think it might have been Christmas '77. I got all 4 of those one Christmas.
Nice.
So yeah, they were
Mhm.
probably decently priced, like affordable that your parents would
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
Yeah, like remember like robotics, I was looking through them and they were just cost prohibitive the entire time. They
Mhm.
were like
This one was
outrageous.
my
They were
favorite, the
always
photon
expensive.
sled.
Oh
The
yeah, that's a
photon
good one.
sled, yeah, and I
Mhm.
was able to find a packaged version of it. But yeah, you know what I like about these vehicles is one, canopies are cool as hell when you're doing like a military craft or anything, but they're usually a
Mhm.
fragile break point. But Micronauts
Yeah.
don't breathe air, right? They're like interdimensional
Mhm.
beings. They don't need
Yeah, if you want them to
they
be,
don't
yeah.
need it. They just yeah, they don't need windscreens. They
Yep.
don't care. But yeah, I like mini vehicles or middle-sized vehicles because to me those were always the fun ones to play with. Whereas
Mhm.
my my Sky Striker was a two-hander, or but I could play with
Yeah.
a Skyhawk and a Fang and run around and be crazy and
Mhm.
stuff. And
Mhm.
so I always kind of gravitated to those more. The other ones look fantastic and they look great on a shelf, but vehicles like this always my
Well,
favorite.
Yeah,
these,
these are
especially
fun.
I think for like kids, were a lot more playable than like what you were saying, those bigger vehicles.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
and these had like a pullback function and would roll across the
And
floor,
all the parts
which
come off,
I
and you
didn't
can
always
interchange
do.
parts between them as well. All those
yep.
parts come off the vehicles, and you can
So did you guys?
put together different
That's
configurations.
a Yeah, that's cool. Did you guys make any cool like super vehicles out of these or that you could remember
Oh
doing? Because I
yeah.
don't have
Mm.
them so to play with, but like, like do you have a specific one you can remember where it was like the front of this car with like
Oh
the
no.
back of the scooter or something like that, or just some crazy thing that
Yeah,
you
nothing
like
specific.
your go-to?
Yeah. Now I remember I would like usually take the wheels off the photon sled and use it more as a plane
Mhm.
Okay.
type of
Oh,
thing.
okay. And I saw this one too, which was
Mhm.
it looked like the photon sled, but it's a little different. It's the
Yeah, it's a little bigger.
Rhodium
And
orbiter.
Mhm.
that silver part is all die cast. I remember that thing being extremely heavy. All that
Oh,
silver
Oh,
body is all
oh,
solid
right.
die cast.
Oh,
nice.
and
Yeah,
once
I
you
never
again,
could
had
hurt
this.
someone with
whoever
that.
put this eBay listing up, yeah, it's almost like a soapbox derby car, that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But they listed all these side pipes you could plug in. So cool,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
all these missiles and the defenders and everything are all interchangeable with different cars
Yep.
and different
Mhm.
stuff. So it's just, you could build it like the one on the box, but you could, yeah, die cast space vehicle, interchangeable with the complete line of Micronauts. Free, this one's freewheeling, no batteries. But I would imagine with that die cast
Oh yeah, those
cockpit,
motors probably wouldn't
this thing
push
had
it
some
too.
weight. You push
Mhm.
Yeah,
it and it would probably go. Yeah.
and those are rubber wheels as well
Uh,
on all of those. They were actual rubber
oh wow.
wheels, not plastic.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here is the was it Galactic Cruiser or the something.
Battle cruiser, I
Battle
Anyway,
think.
I
cruiser.
don't Battle
Yeah.
Cruiser. I don't have all the parts for it. I could see there's canopies missing from the two side craft, the big lollipop missiles, which I gotta tell you, if I design and make missiles, I'm probably not putting round balls on the end. I'm putting mean looking,
Mhm.
things. But
Mm.
I do have some of the missile launchers in like smaller pieces, but this one looked more complete. It was also much more money. And I still haven't tested the electronics on mine. I do have a wired remote that plugs
Mhm.
in somewhere
Mhm.
that's not shown here. But this one looked like a more complete version than mine, so I included it. Was this a vehicle you guys played with as kids,
Oh
or
yeah.
Yes. Used to take this
Yeah.
thing
okay?
apart and configure it differently all the time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I
the one
like
of the
using
cool
the like the
things was,
smaller vehicles pieces like that car in the
Yeah, the
yeah,
front.
wings of guns.
Yeah.
the wings are guns. Come
Mhm.
on, guys, come on.
Or now I don't know, I always flipped them over and they were like hover bikes. There's like there's a little
Yeah, oh
plug
yeah,
in there
you're
that you
right.
can fit a
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna have it's do you remember the scene from Book of Boba Fett? Yeah, come
oh
on.
yeah.
Space
Right.
Vespas.
Yeah, space Vespa. It's a space Vespa. Come on, man. You pull this off the gun of the ship and you
Mhm.
shoot back and
Oh yeah.
forth with it. Oh, good times, good times. Fantastic.
And
Yeah, it gives me like
those
a
big red tips of solid rubber, they're supposed to be there for safety,
Mhm.
but those hurt if you shot them at someone.
is
That's a
that
solid
right?
piece of
Okay.
rubber.
All right. So maybe, yeah, maybe, I like I said, if I could find the missiles, maybe I'll put them in there for display. And that white color that they used is obviously showing its age. In
Mhm.
person you could definitely see it. In this video you could see, this picture here you could also see it. um I don't know what that thing on the top is with that little seat in the top
So
middle. That
so there was a
seat
button.
slides out.
Yeah, there was a button
Oh,
there that like raised up the ramp and that seat would like slide down into the front car.
okay, okay. I have the seat, it was included, but I didn't know what
Yeah.
that did.
Mhm.
And it didn't stay in
Yeah.
place, so I didn't want to leave it
Mhm.
on there because I was afraid I was going to drop it. Okay. So you push that, and then he goes in there, and like it's like launch, liftoff. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
All right. So yeah, I'll be doing a video someday on this. Once I get it going. This thing blew my
Yes.
freaking mind.
Oh
Holy
I
yeah.
love
crap,
the
guys!
Hornetroid.
Ne-
I love the
Mhm.
Hornetroid.
Next to like the Robo Skull, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a toy like in my life. Like when I saw this thing, one, I see like vibes
Mhm.
of like like one, it looks like a Sector's vehicle. It doesn't even look
Yeah.
like it belongs in this world, but how freaking cool is this?
Mhm.
When I think this was
What?
another one of like Migo's original designs that they
Yeah.
did like a ship for the aliens. This
Yep.
and like
It
the
is
Terrafant, I think it
Mhm.
was, or
beautiful.
Yep. Terrafant.
Look at the colors, that
Mhm.
translucent purple on the
Oh yeah,
wings.
this
That
was
looks beautiful.
a friend of mine
Now
had
I
this and
saw
it was just fun.
two listings of this. See the accessories look very red on this one. On the other
Mhm.
one, they look more orange. So I'm not
It's
sure
more
what one to
orange.
expect.
Yeah.
It is
It's
okay.
orange in
It
person,
could
yeah.
just be the lighting.
Mhm.
So you have these weapons that are, I guess, removable, and you could change them to different areas.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
fits one figure in the cockpit. Here's another version that has the antenna, which I read is a very valuable part. That
Yep.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
while I
Oh,
was googling something,
and the wings
I got
flap.
a forum post. Yeah, it came up, and they said, because some guy said, "Oh, I found this in like my garage. It was mine when I was a kid. What should I do with it?" And someone said, "Carefully remove those antenna and wrap them in something very safe
Yeah.
and functioning first before you do anything."
Yeah.
Um, this packaging too.
Yeah.
Look
I
at
think
this
this is
thing.
more the Ken Kelly art.
Oh, beautiful. The fearsome myriapod, myriapod
Myriapod.
from the far far off galaxy of Thoraxid. I love it, man. You know what happened with this one though? Not this one. This one's not coming to my house because this one was over $300.
Hmm.
This one is on its way.
Oh,
A
nice.
Yeah.
It's this
Nice.
very same one. I
Oh, excellent.
I had a talk with someone who makes decisions in my home with me, and said I'll be really, really good all year if I could just get this one thing.
Mhm.
And
Hey,
while this one's
if
not
you
complete,
3D print some antenna, that's going to be complete.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. There is a broken part on the listing that where the wings attach.
Hmm.
There are two tabs that come off the body. One of them is missing, but with
Mm.
the one, he said it does hold on there. And what I didn't realize was the flap. You could push that button on the back, and
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
wings flap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't
Hmm.
wait. And I have from Zika Toys or Zyka Toys made the Sectors 4-inch figures a few years ago,
Hmm.
and I bought them. I'm gonna
Oh,
put one of them
nice.
in there. I think, right? That'll be cool.
Mm.
And
And that's gonna be right on my
those
shelf, right next to my OG uh, RoboSkull
Roboskull.
and my this guy over here, my favorite shit, the black, the black robotics jet thing, dude. I forget
Hmm.
his
Oh,
name.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tyrannix, yeah. My three favorite ships, all there. My life's complete. I
Nice.
love it.
And when
Uh,
those mandibles open, if I remember correctly, it's been a
Yeah.
while
oh,
since I've
do
had one in
they?
hand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had this as a kid, man, everything
Mm.
about this line, I'm like, I would have loved this as a
Hmm.
kid. So I feel like I missed an entire wonderful era of toys.
Well,
You
you
guys
didn't
have
miss
them as
it yet
memories.
because you can still, you can still have the joy of
Yeah.
getting these toys.
Yeah.
And I have, man. Nothing. I've been so happy, like just looking through this, going, this thing's awesome. Like I feel like a kid again. This is great. And this one, I didn't get the one with all the really cool. I don't think I have a box with mine, and I don't think I have all the cool instruction booklets and stuff. But look at this sucker.
Oh, yeah. This one's incomplete, but it's I love how the base there just had all those pegs so you could just mix and match stuff and
You could put so much stuff on there. Gives me
Mhm.
definitely Cobra Maggot or Mean Dog vibes, where it's multi sectional. I mean, definitely had to have been an influence on that. And when I look at a lot of the things as like a 3D designer, one of the things you're looking at when you're looking at like any of these accessories and stuff, trying to recreate them is like how many basic shapes are there? Because, in a lot of the 3D design software, a lot of basic shapes are pre-made. You could just generate them and then you're attaching them and maybe removing stuff from them. So a lot of the sculpting on this Micronauts stuff, I noticed like, but this one's probably a little more challenging. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But this one, very geometric, very simple geometric shapes
Yeah.
to recreate something like this would be pretty easy. The spacing, and then one of the
Hmm.
things that I always struggle with is how to get the tolerances for holes correctly. And by 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 that I mean on like the action figure scale. So I'm sure when I'm on like the vehicle scale, it's not such a big deal. I've just tried to make some accessories for figures, and I think I have it right. And then when I print it in the real world, it's either way too big or way too small. But that's just
Mm.
me being a novice. Something like this. So this was like a mobile star searcher, right? It was like the mobile command
Mhm.
center type thing. And
Oh, yeah.
um, this was fun.
Oh, is this what I think
This
this
ordered.
is?
I don't know why I put an ordinary audio cassette in this slideshow. How dumb of me. It's a
Yeah.
motorcycle. That's cool, right? That's fun.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense, but it's fun. And the little wings pop out, and you got the front wheel and the back wheel. Throw a little Microman on there and
Mhm.
party.
Makes as
That's
much
good
sense as
times.
the cassette
And
turning into a Jaguar.
which was probably like one of the like if a friend pulled that, I remember like this kid just pulled it out of his pocket one summer, like when we were kids. And everyone was just like, that thing's the best thing I ever saw. We were all like hanging out by like like a fishing area. We were like fishing in the summer. And my friend just pulled it out of his pocket. And he's like, this thing's cool. He wouldn't tell us where it was. We found out later it was a transformer and stuff. But yeah, something like this
Now
is
they've made some
cool.
reproductions of that cassette bike in different
They
colors. So
have. Yeah, well, this is one
over the
of like
years.
just like the cassettes. The do you remember the watch that turned into a little robot?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. That was part of
everyone knocked that
Microchip.
off in the 80s. So
Mhm.
knocked off. I
Chronoforms.
mean, everyone. Yeah, you would find like knockoff versions of that all over the place.
Hmm.
Did you guys have this one?
I did not have this one, but I'm familiar with this vehicle, and if I remember
Okay. Well, this
correctly,
is a
Migo reused it a bunch.
That's one of the ones I
it's a
had. Yeah, they
beautiful
they
thing.
repurposed a couple of
Okay.
Micronauts vehicles, like Bob said, for the superheroes, the 1/18 scale
Mhm.
superheroes. So they took Micronauts vehicles and colored them red and blue for Spider-Man and green for Hulk. And I think I had this
Yep.
one in the Hulk version.
Ah,
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Mm.
It's wild. Yeah. Those figures are pretty pricey too. I saw they even had like a Superman. It was a Microman or Micronauts kind of construction, right? Like Superman and Spider-Man. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's really cool. This eBayer, by the way, is somewhere up there in Rhode Island, and he
Oh.
has several really beautiful um, examples of these
Hmm.
boxed Micronauts vehicles, and wonderful photography. Um, there's another vehicle coming up, I think, from the same seller. So if you guys are looking for those are pretty pricey. They're up there, but
Hmm.
they're probably reasonably
Mhm.
priced for how clean and complete they are. I
Yeah.
mean, these are flawless.
Hmm.
Like absolutely mint. Here's Alphatron. He appears to
These
be not
guys.
a vehicle, but is he a vehicle or is he a figure or he's a character who's also a vehicle or something?
So they did like three of these: Alphatron, Betatron, I think Gamatron,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay,
But yeah, they were like little battery operated, weird little robots that
sure.
were
So,
motorized.
do any of you have any personal experience with all these wacky tricks? The somersaultic stride,
No,
the hop-o-matic hop, or the
I ne-
no.
wobble-matic walk?
I never had any of these.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Even as a kid,
it's
I
listed
passed
on
on
there.
these. I was kind of like,
Mm.
Oh, okay. I love the just the wording. It's like does all these wacky tricks that
Hmm.
everyone is familiar with, and then lists three completely words I've never said. For a
yeah.
hundred.
Here's some word
So
salad to go
here's
with this
another
like
one.
weirdo.
Yeah, Alphatron. It was so do you put a figure in there? I'm confused. Like
I
I don't
don't
know about the
think
scaling of this.
so.
I
I
don't
don't
think so.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. This one looks amazing. And
Mm.
this is from that same
Mm.
seller. This is the Torion.
Hmm.
Are you familiar? Was this another one that was reused quite a bit or
Yeah, I had the reused
Yeah.
version of this as well. I think it was a Spider-Man. I can't remember.
okay.
But yeah,
I could
I
see
had
it.
that one as well.
Yeah.
And
One
I still
thing
had my
to
Micronauts
note
when
is
I got the reused version, so I could still interchange the parts and make some crazy new
Oh,
oh,
vehicles out
okay.
of them.
Yeah. I those have to be really expensive, the superhero versions, because I don't even. I guess I could look them up, but I never saw them. Were they Micronauts branded or were they superhero branded?
No, they
both.
were
Uh,
superhero branded. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was after Micronauts ended, Mego just reused the tooling to, get some more mileage out of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know if they were made in such high quantities because they've eluded my sight for years. I've never really even saw them.
Hmm.
I've never like run across one even in an old vintage toy store or anything. You think place. Does it look like the driver in this photo on the box has a clear cowboy hat on? Or is that just my brain playing tricks on me?
I think it's just the
It's
glare,
just
the flash.
yeah, the
Oh,
blur.
okay.
Yeah.
I instantly when I saw this, I was like, I want the clear cowboy hat version of a
Cowboy
Micronauts
time
figure. And
traveler.
I started looking for like Micronauts time travel cowboy hat, Micronauts time traveler, and I couldn't find it. So I figured I'd ask you guys because it looks like he's riding, like yeehaw, he's riding it, and
Now,
he has a
now you
clear.
might could fit some of those chicken fried toys, cowboy hats on your
Hmm.
time travelers.
Sure. Look how crystal clear and just
Oh wow,
immaculate this version is
Hmm.
of this cockpit.
man.
Look at that glass. Like this thing was stored so well. These are
Mhm.
all going on 50 years old. All of the Micronaut stuff
Mhm.
is all pre-80s, right? It's all,
Yep.
I mean, that is wild to me. That is
Mm.
45 to 50 years old on all of this stuff. And look how nice that looks. Just amazing.
A lot of that
And
plastic
very
holds up
complete.
because when I was putting together the gift that Salzburg sent me, that plastic holds up really well. I wasn't worried
Yeah,
about breaking anything. Of course, I took care when putting it together, but it didn't feel like
sure.
anything was about to break or anything. It was good plastic back
Yeah,
then.
I
This is
think
this is
so. I
another
mean,
one that
even
was
this.
this is
Oh,
another one that was
this
solid
looks.
die cast.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay. And this looks like it fit in anywhere. Come on.
Mhm.
Flash
Oh, yeah.
Gordon could ride this. Star Wars figures. I mean, anyone. This is
Mhm.
a great design. I just think this one is just. I don't think I have the box or anything for this, but I just saw the picture and I was like, "That's a cool looking little space bike there." And then I think towards the end here, yeah, I just grabbed all of the times that. So I didn't get this guy, the Galactic Defender, who has
Mhm.
like a
He was the
what is that, like
best.
a Dune like shield? Or oh, I don't have him.
I had to
He was
I
the
had
only one
to
I didn't see
rectify
a.
that.
Yeah, I didn't even see him. This, oh my God, this vehicle. Look at this fucking thing. It's a freaking lobster. It's called like
Mhm.
Mhm.
Lobstros or something, right? It's a lobster tank.
Yep.
Fucking awesome, right?
Mhm.
Come on. They're killing me with this. I love it. Of course I love a lobster tank,
Oh, hell
right?
yeah.
But you know how much this thing is? This thing's like $3,000.
Mm.
And this
Oh, geez.
Sharkos is like
Oh, yeah.
$3,000. There's not even like there's like only one listing of each of them on
Yeah.
eBay at all. Like
Mhm.
there's not even
These are
like,
some of those later
oh,
toys that Bob was mentioning that are really rare. I've never
Yeah.
seen any of these in person.
And some of these
yeah,
may have
you
just
can't
been
like
Euro
even find
releases.
uh, you can't even find a broken version of it for cheaper. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll find a broken one and fix it up. No, these are both like boxed versions or pretty complete versions, and they are just not available. I will say though, upon a little shopping trip I took recently, I did find this, which for 1/18 scale collectors, I think if you like it, I haven't done a video or anything on it, but it's right up in that alley, and it's a modern toy that you can buy on the shelf right now. And this is from
Oh yeah, I've seen
Sonic the
that.
Hedgehog 3, and it is a crab mech, and it has working claws, right? Articulated legs. It's made very well. It's a very solid figure, right?
Mhm.
I mean, a
You can use the claws.
little paint and put some
Yeah.
guns on it. You could like make
Well,
it a modern version of
Sonic
what
fits
you're
in
just
there.
showing.
Yeah, and he's a 2.5 inch figure. But there is, so his cockpit is kind of strange, but
Mhm.
it opens up to the bottom because he also has an escape hatch on the bottom of it. So you could very easily fit a 3 and 3 inch figure, 3 and 3 inch, 3 and 3/4 inch figure. But if you stand them up, you could definitely fit them right in there.
Mhm.
And if you wanted to do a little bit of kind of customizing, you could do it
Hmm.
and make it like a real seat
Mhm.
that they lay down in. But that's $20. That's a hell of a cool figure. You put a little paint on him. I mean, I think
Oh
it
yeah.
looks cool just as is. I
Yeah.
would use it, but if you wanted to make it like, you could use this in Star Wars. You could use it in GI Joe. You
Mhm.
could use it in anything. It's
Mhm.
just funny that that came from a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, right? Or it's cool. I like it.
Mhm.
Now, is that something people can find at like Target or Walmart or?
That was at Walmart. Yeah, they had
Oh,
plenty of
okay.
them too. Yeah, it's been on the shelves. And
Mhm.
I gotta tell you, the little Sonic guy grew on me, man. I like him. He's kind of like he's little, he's like 2.5 inches, but I feel like next
Mhm.
to 3 and 3/4 inch, that's
Mhm.
kind of what he would be like. So
Yeah.
I think it's 1/18 scale. In my head canon, he is. Um, so yeah, and then the Sharkos, which is just like a spaceship. It's not even have any.
I think it was meant
It
to
has like
play in
a
the
propeller,
water.
a motorized propeller on the back. Yeah, you could
Yeah.
just throw
Mhm.
a bad guy on it. What kills me is I invented this last year when we were doing the submissions for the Chat May contest. I didn't even
Mm.
know this existed, and I wanted to make a shark, a spider shark. Flying. It was a land sea air vehicle. It had like spider legs that folded up into wings. That was also the fuselage was shaped like a shark. And I have a picture of it later because I was going to say how right up my alley this all is. This picture is not the one I just bought. Oh, I thought it was. My box is in better condition. Okay, this is just a different listing.
Yeah.
But man, that's a lot of pieces. And this is I love this. This is great. I'm gonna play with this thing all night. Like after we do this, I'm gonna be playing with this until until tomorrow. Because
And see, this is what I was talking about earlier. Like each of those little pieces clip together, and you can shape it however you want. So, like something like
yeah,
that, I think
did you guys
could.
play with this as a kid or
I
I
didn't
did not
have
have
this
this.
particular
precursor?
one. I
Okay,
had the Mega City, but it was the same principle. It was just different
concept.
assortment
Okay.
of parts. Yeah.
So this to me, like I see connects coming from this. I see even Lego kind of in a sense, or some of those other build and play types play sets. I don't know if
Mhm.
they were out and the sets were sold in such quantities, but where this would integrate with your things. And then I just love the fact that it's not um, it's modular, so you could change it, and it doesn't
Mhm.
really fit the conventions of anything. This is like it has a working elevator, so I did check in the box. Mine does have the working little backpack
Oh,
elevator,
excellent.
and it functions. So that would be a key piece that would be. I feel like any other piece on here would be easy to recreate with like 3D
Mhm.
printing, or maybe even source some of these panels myself to add to it, right?
Mhm.
But if like you
Mhm.
got this and your brother got one of these sets, you could combine them and make something really cool
Exactly.
out of it. And
Mhm.
and it would fit with a lot of different toy lines. So for this one, I would just say I feel like I just feel like everything traces back to Micronauts. I know like we were saying that like as a joke all the time because like some of the people in chat would always bring it up. Like I would say, "Oh, this is a cool toy," and they'd be like Micronauts, originally did it.
Mhm.
So I was like, "All right." This one is now the packaging comes from the fantastic world of the interchangeables,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which if you watched Goji's video, you understood that this was a kind of a rehash. But
Yeah.
I did it because this little mini kind of it's not quite a vehicle, but it's not quite it's
Mm.
like a mini playset, and it was
Mhm.
Yeah. This
pretty
was actually
interesting.
my
You guys
favorite
have
Micronauts playset. It was called the Astro Station in Micronauts, and it was my
Mhm.
favorite
okay.
playset because you could use it as a base and a ship. The way they used it in the comic, they could fly around in it because it has those little jet engines on the bottom of it.
So it was kind of like a TARDIS type of thing where they could land. It was like a I know it's
Yeah,
probably not
like if they left the
interdimensionally
main
time
ship, it was
Yeah.
sort
travel.
of like a shuttle vehicle, sort of, where
Yeah.
they
Okay.
left their main ship and could fly around in a smaller vehicle, and it had
Yeah.
4 seats on it. It had multiple guns, so it was a lot of fun.
Mm.
And it had all those ports so you could add things to it, right? So you
Mhm.
could like
Yep.
kind of
Yeah.
customize it too. Like I
Yep.
love it because once again, it's like one of those mid-size. It was like the GI Joe, Checkpoint Alpha. Those little
Mhm.
play sets got so much more play than the big ones
Mhm.
because, well, in some cases it was a huge task to take out the headquarters and put it together, and then you
Yeah.
got brothers and sisters complaining you're taking up the whole room. This thing you could just throw four of your favorite guys and run out into your backyard and have the time of your life. So I did include this because I wanted to see one all the pictures. This has like the sticker sheets and a lot of the information there, um, which I thought might be useful because
Mhm.
I saw this one on eBay.
Mhm.
It's disgusting. It's dirty. It's missing everything,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But it
Yep.
Yeah.
was dirt cheap, and it's coming to my house. It's on its way.
It's
It
the
was so
Astro
cheap
Station version. Yeah.
that this is one that I'm gonna have, I think, a ball recreating little seats for, little guns to port
Mm.
into it, because this is like, and the reason like all of this kind of makes sense and like links back to me is just like over the last year I've really been noticing the lack of small play sets and vehicles and a lot of the
Mhm.
modern like toy lines we're getting. And
Mhm.
one of the things that just creatively I want to do is just try to find something. People are doing them. They're doing small play sets that are interchangeable or connectable, but they're very expensive. And I don't know if it's, and this is so my personal journey this year, besides, all the things happening to me in my real world, but in play is to try and how much like to design something like this, even 3D print it and ship it out to someone, could you really sell it for where you're covering your costs or making a modest profit, not really relying on nostalgia or memory berries. You're not recreating something that someone else has done and just stealing an IP basically, and you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
profiting off of it, but making something that's useful, versatile, could be used in a lot of different genres, and do it in an affordable way because while it's maybe not designed to be used by someone's kid, I would want to create a product that like someone wouldn't mind like letting their kids play with because it was only $20 or something. But
Yeah.
I see things like this size is perfect.
Mhm.
I see things listed or people working on them, and they're talking $150 or something like this. And I'm going, it's
Mm.
printed. It can't be that much, like
Yeah.
you could, I don't know. And I know the more you make of something, the cheaper you could offer it. But yeah,
Mm.
we are at a point where an action figure is a $20 investment. So I guess a play set's four times that. It just seems crazy. This is wild. It's a
Oh
racetrack
yeah.
toy, the Strata Station. Did you guys play with any of these motorized tracks? But this is like,
I unfortunately did not have this one. Instead, I had the rocket tubes. I don't know if you've got that
oh, we're
in the
gonna
list
we're
of
gonna get
things.
to rocket tubes,
Oh,
buddy, because I definitely want to
okay.
show you that.
But
Yeah,
this
that one
one
I
I
have
think is much
questions.
cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Okay.
because
So this is
if I
like a
remember right, the little car is motorized, so it just and if you get
yes.
like
Yeah.
more of them, you can expand the track. And there was
So
like a little
they
elevator.
made old kind of really experimental decisions by so they had a tool all this track. It has nothing to do with any of the other stuff they're doing, but they made it
Hmm.
integrate to their Micronauts world. So Stompers did something like this where it wasn't like the slot car type track. It was like a plastic frame track, but you just turn the battery
Yeah.
on like
Mhm.
a
Hmm.
Stompers 4x4, and they went down this little road. So this is more like that. And I think over here, this seller on eBay who took wonderful pictures here of all the parts and everything. Well, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
the car had like three different speeds on it. It was like fast, slow, and
Oh,
medium,
cool.
and you just put a battery in it and then you let it rip. So
Hmm.
you can play with multiple ones. You got the little tower on the top. Things like this that had a large footprint, I understand, probably weren't the easiest to play with because this was a problem for me when I was a kid. Was always like, how much floor space am I taking up, and
Mhm.
how long until someone complains and I have to pack it
Mm.
up. So this one, if you guys didn't have it, you know what I mean. Like,
I
I
didn't
also
have
did.
this, but the configuration reminds me a lot of Omega Supreme from the Transformers, which I
Yes,
did
Yeah.
very
have.
similar. Uh huh. Yeah, I had a friend who had Omega Supreme. I remember him. It was an event. He brought it over to my house and we set it up. And I think he left it at my house, and unfortunately, I lost it. So sorry, John. I still talk to him every day. He's my best friend. But
How could you
uh,
lose Omega
he,
Supreme? He's so big.
well,
I
it
wouldn't
wasn't
be
like
surprised.
I lost him. It was just like it got packed away, and then
Mhm.
like my parents like threw out a bunch of stuff, and it was not like that simple. A lot of
Mhm.
steps in between, but eventually it was lost. I still feel
Wouldn't be
bad about it to this
surprised if
day.
Omega Supreme was based
Yeah.
off of that Strata Station.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. I would imagine that track and the way it worked.
Hmm.
Terrafan,
Another
Oh yeah.
awesome one.
the
Hmm.
terrifying mammoth from the remote world of Visceros, right?
Mhm.
What the
Hmm.
hell?
And he could
It's an
squirt
elephant.
Well,
water out
it's
of his trunk.
it's an
Get the
elephant
hell
with
out of
like
here. Are you
tanks.
kidding?
Yeah, there's a
No.
little
This looks
bellows in the
awesome.
back, and a hose ran
Yes.
through the body, and he could squirt water out of his trunk.
Hmm.
That hole on the back there's a little bellows that goes in there that you could fill with water. That's a little water
That is,
reservoir.
I see
Yeah,
it
you
on
can
the
kind of see it
package
in
now.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, I see it. You can see it on the artwork and on the little slides. Okay.
Yeah. This was another
I
Mego
immediately was
original.
like,
Mhm.
I freaking need this. This is very
Oh, yeah.
expensive,
Yeah.
but I can make something like it. It's like a dump truck tank elephant. It's just freaking awesome. Look at this freaking thing. Come on. And this is the only
Yeah.
example I could find of it. I'm sure there's better ones, but I'm thinking like you could throw, different cannons on it. You could
Mhm.
customize it so many different ways.
Yep.
Well,
And,
and the body
the,
pegged onto those tracks. So that used the same five
so those
millimeter
tracks,
ports.
Mhm.
Yeah, those
gotcha.
tracks are like their own
Cool.
piece that comes off. Um, so if you wanted to
Oh,
use the
very
tracks
cool.
to build something
Yes.
else up on.
Yeah, and I think the glare is there. I think they have it built in a different configuration on that box. I'll have to look into it
Mhm.
more. But how freaking cool, right?
Mhm.
Just look at these colors. They're like the green and the purple. Like it's awesome.
And the
Just
ears could fold in as well over that seat and become a blast shield for the driver.
Mhm.
that makes sense. So is there a
Mm,
canopy that's missing? No, right?
No,
I
it's
don't
just
think
open.
so.
That's
Yeah.
the way it was built. Okay,
Yep.
that's just the way it was.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
love it, and I love the two
Like you
evil
said, we
guys
don't need
in
no
on the
canopies.
box, just wreaking havoc.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So cool. Oh my god! If I could just have one toy, I'll be good all year. This toy is it. I told you with the Hornetroid, I have, I can't ask for anything else, but I will either make one
Next year.
or
Next year,
next
ask for
year
the
if
Terrafan.
I'm really good. Yeah, so we had the Hydra here, which was a boxed example. I think this picture's out of place, and I'll get to it later, but it was just a multi-configurable, really weird vehicle that
Mhm.
I was wondering if you guys had any insight on.
I didn't have this one.
Mhm.
Um,
I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was cool.
I mean,
It was a
some things
two-seater.
when they're so modular, yeah,
Mhm.
when they're too modular become, and this would be my critique of like the robotics type line, where it's too modular, so then it's kind of unstable. So playing with it is, troublesome.
Mhm.
mm,
So I always wondered that about these Micronauts vehicles and playsets. I know everyone has fond memories of them, but were they, this seems to hold together well. I
Yeah.
haven't had any
oh, yeah.
pieces just
By
fall
and
off.
large, they were pretty
You know,
sturdy. They held together well. But,
Yeah.
like Bob mentioned earlier, if configured them and reconfigured them so many times, those peg holes and pegs would loosen
sure,
up over time.
Mm.
which I don't fault the toy for. This is another one where it was the Intangibles packaging,
Mhm.
but I did include this because the original hydrocopter,
Mhm.
um, this just showed how it worked, and it had this like really interesting
Mhm.
function, which
Mhm.
was that the globe there rotated around the driver seated in the chair,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I just found that fascinating. And there's a little picture of the motor,
Mhm.
and it would operate. And then here's the
And
original
Mhm.
hydrocopter. So I guess you would put this on
yeah.
the floor with this additional pontoon looking wheel set, right? And
Well, you could do it on the floor with wheels, not those wheels, but
okay,
different wheels,
Mhm.
and have it roll around and the rotor spun, or you could put it in the bathtub with those little flippers on the side, and they would
what?
as
Oh, the
the
ones,
main ball
oh my
spun, the
God.
flippers would propel it through the water.
Mhm.
I see them, those paddles on the
That's why it's the
sides. I did not realize that.
hydrocopter.
Mhm.
Yes, of course. Yes. Oh my
Yeah, that was
God.
a great toy.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this toy. This is
And that was a
amazing. There's
powerful
someone,
motor because it could spin the rotor and the paddles and everything all at once. It was a
Mhm.
powerful motor in that toy.
and they
And
encourage you to
watertight,
throw it in.
'cause
So I would imagine, yeah, you're putting this in the bath, and most kids would, right?
Mhm.
So like that was
Mhm.
always one thing I loved about GI Joe was like the boats really floated.
Mhm.
That was always like a cool feature to me, like and just something that they thought through very well. Um, this same thinking here with the hydrocopter. You know what's so funny though is like I've been talking about Micronauts so much with like my son, and as I'm doing research for this, and I've been talking to pretty much everyone about it for the last couple of weeks. Facebook Marketplace pops up and it says something in your area might interest you, and it's the hydrocopter selling it
Oh, nice.
in my area. But once again, not in the budget right now. It was a good price
Yeah.
too, but I'm like, I just bought these things, and I really can't. As much as I would love to do it and just buy every Micronauts thing I see, because this thing I was going to ask about is just wild. So this
Yeah.
is a vehicle. It's a playset. It's all of it, and it's absurd too in a way,
Hmm.
but it works, right? Although
Mhm.
this little small craft that detaches from it with the four rotating jets on the back and that little,
Hmm.
I love this aesthetic. I just love the way this thing looks for some reason.
Hmm.
It's like
Oh, it's like
he has the
classic
fire bat,
70s.
the Cobra fire bat. I just love the way it looks, and it's like one of my favorite vehicles. Like, so cool. Those
Yeah.
articulated arms are just so freaking amazing. Look at that. It's like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. A friend
fighter
of mine
jet
had.
with a
Mhm.
space tower sticking out of the back of it with articulated arms.
Yes.
What
Yes,
the?
indeed.
And yes, thank you. Yes, right. So Goji built one of these recently, and
Hmm.
thanks to James Salzberg, who is just an angel.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts on this one, Goji? I know I listened to you talk about it in the video, and people should check it out. But I'd like to hear from you now, because
Oh
I'm
no,
like,
it's
I love
awesome.
it. I just love
Yeah, it's awesome.
it.
Fantastic toy, and that head can
Yeah.
come off and become a little saucer, and the wings off that mini vehicle you just showed can attach to the saucer. It's got
Uh-huh.
all kinds of different configurations. Very, very fun
Yeah.
toy.
And
And you
doesn't
can put
that
the figures, I
blue?
guess, for the domes come out the side. I'm sorry, Bob. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, doesn't that blue panel open up?
Yep.
N
Yeah, you can
yeah,
actually take that white body and configure it horizontally, and then those yellow
Okay.
domes. You can see
oh,
figures in there, and it can fly the other way as well.
oh, cool.
So
I never
cool.
had this one, but a
Yeah.
friend of mine did. I thought it was just, like, super awesome.
Hmm.
It's sick, man. This is great. It's a play. Hey, I got an idea, guys. It's like, oh, what's your idea? Take the play set and stick it right on the back of the vehicle. Come on. And they're like, all right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Put your chocolate
Yeah,
in the peanut butter. I get it. I get
yeah.
it.
Hmm.
It's
E
like,
even in Japan, cocaine was a hell of a drug in the 70s.
I love it, man. This thing is by far one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Freaking love it. But then we get to rocket
Oh.
tubes, which is the transportation system of the future, which I
Yes.
guess, the transportation system of the future that enables you to propel figures and vehicles through transparent tubes on a cushion of air at blazing speeds. Now, Futurama
Yeah.
owes everything to this playset, because they had to have influenced them. Because what the hell's
Yeah,
up with rocket tubes?
the so the pushing the figures through the tubes, they really
Uh-huh.
oversold that.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
now it did come with that one figure, that white figure that has, like, no
Uh-huh.
articulation except at the neck. He would go through
Okay.
the tubes,
He
just
would
him.
go through the tubes. Got it.
Like,
And this
'cause, like,
little
I tried.
shuttle that.
Now, it would go through the tubes as well, but if you put a figure in it, even if you, like, laid them down
Gotcha.
so they weren't getting, like, chopped off,
Yeah.
yeah, even the plastic ones, they were not going through the tubes. I
Gotcha.
tried.
So it wasn't quite as powerful. Well, you could see that he had like no articulation, but his body was also designed to fill the tube
Yeah,
and become
right, so that the
a
air pushed him up or yeah,
yeah, pushed him up and launched him. So I
yeah.
just, when I saw this, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And thank you. I was like, one of these gimmicks had to have been like a dud, because not every
Yeah,
line could be perfect at everything. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
this was something I think Mego just slapped the Micronauts label on,
okay,
because
like
I
this is
don't
like a
think it.
different toy. Yeah.
Yeah. And now don't get me wrong, it was fun to play with, but like after the
Yeah.
car went around the circle a few times and the guy
Sure.
rows up and down, and then the tops of those vertical ones, you could put some like little fans that have like spinning radar dishes and whatnot. But after about
Also,
half an
big footprint.
hour, it was kind of
Yeah.
big footprint. And like I said, after about half an hour, it was kind of like, okay, the car's still going in a circle and the figures won't
Yeah.
ride in it. It's like,
This is
mm,
100% like one of those things that reminds me of like, do you remember in the 80s, the board game Crossfire? Of course you guys do,
oh
right?
yeah.
Because the commercial was epic. It's like a domed arena, and you've got this gun on one side, and you're shooting like BBs at each other, and there's like a little spinning top in the middle, and you have to like
Hmm.
use the BBs to propel it into the other basket. First of all, that game sucked. It didn't work. I remember playing it, but like the commercial made it like
Oh yeah.
freaking like you're gonna have such a crossfire, and like there's flames and shit in the background. I, I'm telling you, like they were like on like an alien world or something, like the two kids, but like it's gonna transport you to another world. It's crossfire.
Yeah,
But
not so
this seems like one
much.
of those things where
Yeah.
the commercial was probably like rocket tubes. They're gonna
Mm.
blow your mind, and then you get home and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah. I like it. I'd still pick this
I
up.
mean,
I'd still
it
mess with this.
like something like Micro Rail City here would probably be more entertaining
Probably more
because it
fun.
can also combine with the
Yes.
other like city playsets.
Yeah. So I guess the tubes wouldn't really combine with this. This has like
Yeah.
it looks like it's actually the uh interplanetary headquarters in the center there, almost like
Hmm.
right, almost the exact same parts.
Yeah.
It's
They
got the
came out with a
elevator,
few
the
of these
two,
like Micropolis
and it comes with
sets.
the track, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And I know I've seen some pictures where someone has like 20 of these sets combined, and it's like this huge. Oh, here's the thing
Oh
where you can
yeah.
see yeah, it's
Oh, the
slow,
little
neutral, and
car.
fast on the little car that came with it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And just all these little bits and bops that go with it. It's so hard to understand, like, unless you have experience with these, like if you're getting all the parts, like,
So now
this had a
the
picture of all the parts spilled all over, but
mhm.
I was like, it looks like a lot. I don't know, but I'm
so now
irresponsible, so I'm just gonna
so
buy it.
now those little black pegs that have like the little ring in the
Uh,
middle, you could use those to like plug one end into like a panel in the city, and then the other end you plug into like your figure's foot or back or whatnot. And so they could like
got
stand
you.
on top of the
Okay.
buildings. And but there were also
Yeah,
like other
and
little pieces that they could combine with to make stuff, little arms and things. Yeah.
yeah, like these little. There's like stop signs. Those clear domes I thought would be really fragile. I held them in the box I got.
Hmm.
They're in really good shape and they feel really good. This plastic is top quality. Whatever
Oh
they
yeah.
made this out of, it's
Yep.
like the Fisher Price Adventure people. You know how like that plastic is like it's
Oh,
like
those are like
indestructible, man.
tanks.
Like you
Yeah.
look at there's like a Fisher Price vehicle. These
Mhm.
feel really good too. So people will be watching this tomorrow, and I'm sure they'll chime in with their experience with it. But
Mhm.
nothing like the. So okay, so I think we're towards the end here, and I did just include some of the brochures that I found along the way, and I just thought it'd be
Oh,
fun to look at
nice.
them. I think we saw this one. This looks just like, so I guess was this like the layout? So you could, and then you fold it up,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
lay it out on this mat
Yeah.
to build it, and then it
Mhm.
like, that's cool. Those are nice
Mhm.
instructions. They're very visual. There's not a ton of words to it, right? It's just, you would lay your pieces. It looks like it's the actual size. I
Mhm.
think I got one
As I
with nice
recall,
heading.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like this big like newspaper sheet. So this one set I bought, look at this. This thing's huge.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I would just lay this on the floor, lay my tiles on it. That's such a good way to build. Like, so if you're building this thing, the little ball, right? You just,
Mhm.
and then you fold it right
Yeah.
up.
Mhm.
Just
That's
yeah.
brilliant, man.
Like I said, protect your thumbs when doing a bunch of those connectors. Is I still
Yeah,
have
maybe we can
memories
get
of
some of
like
the.
building that and like trying to press them
Sure.
down and pop them through. Yeah.
Here's some of the monorails. I'm looking kind of closely. I guess I could have done this bigger. Um, I think we got a lot of stuff. Was there anything you
Hmm.
didn't see, guys, that is really amazing that you remember? Oh, here's my spider shark, by the way.
Oh, cool. Yeah, oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's a 3D render. But was there anything we missed? Because that's most of the stuff that I was able to find. And as you can tell, this is like a kid. I'm like a kid
Mm.
again, looking at these things, and I'm really enjoying them. So, you know, and I know
I,
you
I
guys have fun
I
when you're
saw
doing it. But
everything I had in the slideshow. That's for sure.
Yeah.
good,
Um,
good.
yeah.
And Carl, did you go back and reclaim a lot of these, or did you retain these from your childhood,
No,
other
those
than
all
like the
went
ones
with
Salzburg? Okay,
the original collection. But now I have the Palisades toys. I have those few
sure.
Hasbro reissues that they did. They did a 3-figure set for San Diego Comic Con in 2016. I think I have those,
Okay.
and then the
Have
playset
you
that Jim sent me.
picked up any of
Beautiful.
like the reissue Microman versions or?
I think I have one Microman Time Traveler. That's it.
Okay.
Mm.
And Bob,
Not
I
like
know
in
you
the
have quite a few of the figures, right?
yeah, like most collectors, my childhood collection went away at a garage sale. Um, but yeah, I picked up like all the Palisades and then some of the back in like 1999 through like the early 2000s. Carl was doing some like reissue stuff, and so I was able to pick up some of that. And so I've got a few vintage, but not many.
Gotcha. All right, nice. I'm new to this, so I'm really in it.
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of want to see the play sets, and
Mhm.
this was just a 3D render. I borrowed some of the assets, like the shark head is from some other model. It's not my original design, and I, threw spider legs on it. Those spider legs, I think I did design though, so or maybe I'd stole them from something. I don't know, but if I ever wanted to make something like this, that's the spider shark in flight mode, and that's the
Nice.
spider shark in land mode. And
Yeah,
I guess
you got
underwater mode would
Sharkos
be the same.
2.0 right there.
Hmm.
Yeah, there we go. And then, this is my favorite toy, which was my knockoff
Oh yes.
T-Rex. He has a canopy that fits a 3 3/4 inch figure on his chest. Always
Nice.
loved him. And so me being into these Micronauts is not just, I know a lot of people are like, oh, because now Super 7's bringing it back, so you're jumping on the bandwagon. I'm looking through all these toys and I'm going, oh my God, there's so many things that I have that I love that reflect, the things that
Hmm.
are present
Hmm.
in this line. It's no wonder that I was attracted to this, what I mean? This toy
Hmm.
line. Because this is, come on, this is very Micronauts. This Dinocopter, come on,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Oh, that's right up. That'd be like right up there with like Hornetroid and Terrafant. And
Yes. Dinocopter. Yeah,
hmm
Terrafant. Come on, I need it. There's Dinocopter. And then even like this thing just tickles my, fancy. I don't know why Spider-Man needs this, but this type of vehicle that actually
hmm
walks on these legs, quite a bit of engineering had to go into that. I don't know why it's themed Spider-Man, but I like it, but it was really expensive. So I think it's on
Yeah,
clearance. It's going to go down to like, when it gets to like 20 bucks, I'll buy it. But at
yeah.
50, I'm like not really into it. And then here's some more of the
Oh
flyers that
yeah.
I found
Love
along the
these
way. I
flyers.
think, oh, this guy right here in the center. I don't think we showed him. His name is Microtron.
Microtron, yeah.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, like the
I
top
don't
of
think
his
I
head
saw
would like
him.
pop up, and you could have a figure sitting on him.
Hmm.
Yeah, but such great things. Micronauts is just a wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
toy line. The granddaddy of the 118 O scale figure, and
Hmm.
has influenced so many toy lines, I believe, just from my observations here, in the future.
Yeah.
Um, Surely it is a definite thing, like a subject that we could talk for hours and hours on. And you could go into, this was just the the US thing, so don't kill me if you're a Micronauts expert. And I messed up a bunch of stuff, but I'm sure you guys would have already done that.
Hmm.
But a definitely worthy subject for 118 day.
Oh yeah.
Being my favorite scale, it's the Lord scale, but other scales are fine. Please don't attack me either. I don't
Mhm.
want to argue with anyone over it. Like what you like. Um,
Mhm.
Bob, what do you have going on? in your corner of the universe there, before we wrap this up, was there anything about
So
Micronauts that you wanted to share? And then also anything coming up in your wheelhouse that you wanted to discuss? Or
um well, I mean, yes, I've ordered the new Super 7 Reaction Plus Micronauts. I will order
I did as
any of those that they put out. If you want to call me a shill, fine. I won't. As long as Super 7 is making Micronauts figures, I will shill for them all day long with a
as
smile.
long as you put them in a spider shark trademark,
Oh, exactly.
we'll help join hobby and promote that. There might be some free toys in it for you.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. And
As
I know
far
you
as
do Into the Toy Box every Sunday
yeah,
night
that's
with
coming up.
Ryan from
Yep.
Outer Multiverse. A
Yeah,
wonderful
this week
show.
we've got Pirates of the Galaxy joining us. So that should be a pretty fun
Very
show. He
nice.
does a lot of great customs in the 1/18th scale and does the world building and yeah, beautiful stuff that he's got.
Yeah, it should be. And what time is
So
that? That's on
that'll
Outer
be
Multiverse at 7 p.m. Eastern,
yep,
right?
Eastern. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
And we'll put a link in the description for tomorrow. And
Oh, thank
Mr.
you.
Gojitron, um, what do you have going on? I know you got a lot going on over on your channel, and I encourage anyone who just wants to, learn about toys and not always the toys that everyone's talking about. And even though this is my lesson for Gojitron content, sometimes he'll put something up on the screen and I'm like, that's not to like it. But I'll still
Mhm.
watch the video and learn something because it's very entertaining and educational.
Mm,
So
thank
even
you.
when
Oh,
it's some
yeah.
some random robot, even though I was into that, but just something that a bendy, he did one on bendies and it was a great
Mhm.
figure, or a bucket of soldiers. But what else
If
do
you
you have
love
going on?
random, then subscribe to my channel
Yeah,
because I do random
Yeah.
stuff
I
all
love
the
it. Yeah.
time. New toy review season is coming up, so I've got in the new Marvel Mego figures that were released at the
Oh,
end of last
Mhm.
year, the Spider-Man set.
And
I'll be looking at those. I'm halfway through getting all the Batman Forever retro figures. So as soon as I have all those in hand,
oh,
I'll look at
mhm.
those. And I know I've got a couple of new Playmates Godzilla figures coming in, so I'll be looking at those. And then there's
Right.
other stuff I'll be talking about. I think I want to do a video on what I mentioned earlier about Steel Jeeg, the original toy, because I do
Mhm.
have a repro of that toy and comparing with Baron Karza and look at the history of that mold, where it
Oh,
came from,
wow.
where it
yeah.
went. So I've always got stuff going on. Just a matter of
Yeah,
finding
good,
time
good.
to record everything.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
That's my issue as well. Well, yeah, I got so much stuff. But
Oh,
I
and then
wanted to
editing
thank you
afterwards.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this will be easy because I don't think we really messed up. So I'm
No,
just gonna upload this
we
onto YouTube.
yeah.
Everyone will be watching tomorrow at 118 on 118, and I will be in the chat. Well, it's already over, so forget it. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
gonna premiere this thing tomorrow. So if you had watched, thank you so very much, guys. What are your favorite Micronauts? Memories. Leave a comment below. Let us know. And once again, just have a great day and thank you so much for watching. Uh, Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Check out both of their channels. Bye
Well, thank you
bye.
for having us.